Sebastian Sallow, nefarious ne'er-do-well or misunderstood miscreant. The last we saw of our charismatic Slytherin, Sebastian made a grave mistake that his uncle just couldn't dig himself out of. I'm a horrible person. Hello crows and non-crows alike, my name is Joe Mack, otherwise known as Support Crow, and today I'm sharing my thoughts on where I see Sebastian Sallow in Hogwarts Legacy 2. If you watched a previous theory vid I did about Isidore possibly still being alive, then you likely heard me say that I believe Sebastian will be the sequel's antagonist. This video is meant to delve deeper into what I mean by that. Not just why I think this, but also how it could further our main character's story and abilities. Let's dig into it. At the end of Sebastian's quest, we make a pivotal decision that seemingly decides the fate of Sebastian Sallow. We either turn him in and he gets escorted out of Hogwarts, or we protect him from retribution and he remains. Either way, Anne buries Uncle Solomon and travels off to an unknown location, and Ominous loses two good friends. The school year ends and we're not quite sure what happens to these three students after. Many speculate that if you turn Sebastian in, then he gets thrown straight into Azkaban, while the conclusion is somewhat logical.
Because they are unforgivable. The use of any one of them will
earn you a one-way ticket to Azkaban. Correct? I say different.
That may not ultimately be the case for an underage wizard. Case in point, Hagrid was blamed for the death of a student via a supposedly malicious beast. Hagrid, being underage, was not sent to Azkaban. Instead, his wand was snapped in two and he was expelled. Now, you could say that Hagrid, being not the actual killer of the student, was given some levity. However, I would point out that Hagrid was very adamant about protecting the creature that did the killing, essentially making him an accomplice. I believe, regardless of the choice we make, the Ministry will investigate far enough into the death of the former Auror Solomon Sallow and find Sebastian guilty of his murder. Sebastian is expelled and his wand is snapped in two. Without a wand, his options are fairly limited in Wizarding Society, and he may simply join the Muggle world. While Ominous might be a supportive influence from afar, his purity-crazed family wouldn't want an expelled miscreant like Sebastian dirting the family reputation, and would likely keep the two separated. We might even see Sebastian around our London home, which would be a good time for the character to reflect on their past decision and receive some verbal consequences. Unfortunately, the worst happens next for Sebastian. Logically, given Anne's condition, the reason why he went so far in the first place dies. In the end of Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter makes a comment that he and his friends have something Voldemort doesn't, something worth fighting for. Sebastian has nothing left, and there's two ways you can look at this. Either Sebastian crumbles into a withered husk of depression, or, and my money's more on this one, whatever was keeping the good in him alive dies and he turns into a true dark wizard with nothing holding him back. I believe Sebastian is going to find a new wand and start seeking revenge on the school that expelled him, friends that turned their back on him, and one person that could have potentially saved his sister, us. Another option is that Sebastian does actually go to Azkaban, but he escapes. This breaks canon a little because the only known wizard to escape Azkaban would eventually be Sirius Black, but you'll notice that I said the only known wizard to escape. I believe if Sebastian is sent to Azkaban, then he would escape, but also the Ministry would cover it up. This accomplishes getting that character out of a corner he was written in, and it also maintains the historical lore of Azkaban. Because the Ministry of Magic isn't going to throw a teenager into Azkaban and then just knowingly say oh yeah, this teenager just totally escaped. Whoopsie daisy, sorry. Not only would throwing a teenager into Azkaban seem incredibly cruel, but having a teenager escape the high secure facility known as Azkaban would also make the Ministry look completely incompetent. If that were the case, then the Ministry would be trying to cover that up as much as possible.
The odds are astronomical.
Whether or not Sebastian goes to prison, his goals are the same: revenge upon Hogwarts, former friends, and the main character. However, Sebastian cannot hope to do this alone. He can't expect to fight us without balancing the scales. He needs a force to terrorize Hogwarts and its students within. He also needs to learn how to defend himself against our ancient magic. I think he'll seek out Isidora Morganach, which is how I believe she's going to make her return. However, be it in the flesh or be it through memory, Sebastian learns how to use ancient magic to extract painful emotions and a lot more. But how can Sebastian do this if he doesn't have the same gift as we do? Well, I don't believe he needs it. Case in point, when we look through the memories of the Keepers, only Isidore and Percival Rackham were said to have this special talent to see and manipulate ancient magic. When Isidora pulls the emotion from her father, Percival makes the point in saying,
"You can only see what has been sealed in the jar, and we do not know what power that may hold. But the traces of that magic are different from what I've seen before."
You'll also recall all 4 Keepers using ancient magic to end a drought, and Professor Rookwood helping Rackham build the chamber in Gringotts. So yes, while seeing and manipulating ancient magic can be a talent, I also believe it is a skill that can be taught. Another case in point, Voldemort, Grindelwald, and Dumbledore know at least some kind of ancient magic and know how to use it. However, all 3 of them attended school at age 11. This can be learned. So Sebastian has fully gone to the dark side, and he may even be in cahoots with Isidore Morganach. This alone is not enough to tackle a school or perhaps even the ministry. Every fan out there wants to learn and cast Expecto Patronum. While we could stretch out the use of the Patronus charm to affect other dark creatures, players ultimately want to go toe-to-toe with the Dementors. While the Ministry has the power to send Dementors into the Hogwarts grounds, if they want to, especially if, there's an escapee from Azkaban, it is unlikely that will be the case, especially if they're trying to cover up the fact that someone's escaped from the prison. Instead, if a wizard or witch is dark enough, they could convince a few Dementors to join their cause and work with them instead. Be it Sebastian or another dark influence, I believe we're going to face the Dementors in the sequel. For the purposes of this video, however, let's say it's Sebastian, or perhaps Isidore's will working through Sebastian. With power and a fighting force to work with, Sebastian can now wreak havoc on his enemies. He could terrorize Hogwarts and face off against our main character. But to what ultimate end? Revenge? To get his sister back? Or to unfold some other villainous plot? Whatever Sebastian ends up being in the sequel, I don't believe he's just going to be another companion again. But what do you think? Could you see Sebastian being the antagonist in Hogwarts Legacy 2? Let me know down in the comments. And be sure to stick around for my next Hogwarts Legacy video, where I theorize about where this whole series and shebang might be going to. Until then though, be safe, be well, be kind. Bye-bye.